Do you love the look of string art backgrounds but just don't have time to create them? Today I'm featuring two cards that use Altenew's cover dies that mimic the look of string art but are much quicker and easier to make. I have a full tutorial showing you how I created both of these cards on this week's edition of Stylish Card Making Techniques with Jenny. So let's take a quick look at the cover dies we're going to be using today. This first one is the string panel cover die. It's got that faux look of string already. It's just a single cover die. And then the second is actually a set. These are the layered geo cover dies, and you can get them separately. They work on their own just as well. But when you layer them up together, they have this really fun look to them. So I wanted to feature both of these on my cards today. This string panel die, you can actually die cut it twice or more, flip it around, and you get this wonderful tangle look of string on your background. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. I have two colors of purple cardstock. One is a darker shade than the other, and I'm going to use that towards the back. It will be the lowest layer, the layer nearest the note card. And the reason for that is with the darker cardstock, it gives that sort of illusion of depth, almost like something getting darker as you go further into a hole or further away towards the horizon. I'm just going to die cut out both the geo cover die A and cover die B. And you can see here, once I've die cut those out, how well they fit together. You can use them whichever way you like. They work both ways, but as I said, I'm going for that darker color towards the back. Now with my string panel die, I'm going to actually die cut this out twice, one from each of those same shades of cardstock, and then flip one around. You'll see that one on the right is flipped around 180 degrees, and I can place it over the top of the other one, and I get this wonderful looking tangle that looks just like string. Now this one has quite a thin border, makes it tricky to pop up on any sort of foam tape, so I'm just going to use liquid glue and adhere it down carefully and directly onto a top folding white note card, and then going to take the second one, flip it around and adhere it directly over the top. And you can do 3 or 4 additional ones like this. Just put those at the back if you're flipping it sort of only 45 degrees, and then that way your top die cut will cover up any of the cuts that you've made in the outline. I'm just going for 2 today. On my other die cuts, I'm actually using some very thin strips of foam tape. That border was a little wider and I could do that. And I'm going to put those all around the outside edge on both panels. And that way I'm going to have a double layer of dimension. And then when I mount them on top of each other, you can almost sort of see from the top how it almost gives that illusion of sort of looking down into almost like a hole, with that background panel being a little darker than the front one. Love this look. And you get lots of different sort of effects depending on the color of cardstock you use and how many times you die cut these out or which way you layer them. The backgrounds you create with these can be quite bold, and they're certainly geometric. So I'm going to sort of temper that a little bit by adding some die cuts to my cards created using the Mix and Match Mariposa dies. These are a butterfly die set I've used on some other cards in the past. They're probably like my go-to butterfly dies. And these are great. They have a solid layer at the bottom, and you can overlay them with a more intricate detailed layer over the top, or you can leave just the solid or the intricate layer itself. I've die cut 5 of the solid, and I'm going to die cut 5 of the intricate from white cardstock and lay them over gold mirror cardstock. But before I do so, I'm going to use my mini ink blending tools and add just a touch of color on the edges of those wings. So I'm using baby pink crisp dye ink, and I'm very gently brushing that on at the side of each of the wings. And you can't quite tell from the video, but I have got a slight angle sort of away from the butterfly so that when I brush on the ink, I don't end up with a mark that looks like an ink, and it sort of fades, an ink blending tool, and it fades in towards the center of the butterfly, which I'm leaving white. I'm then going to deepen that up just on the very edges with magenta ink, So I'm just very gently touching it almost just to the edges of those wings. So I've got that magenta fading into baby pink, which fades into white. And I thought that gives a nice pop of pink that would go perfectly against that purple backdrop that's being provided with the faux string look. To give a bit more dimension, I'm going to use my Altenew tweezers just to pinch in the center there. I have got a little bit of liquid glue just applied at the back of the butterfly's body, and I'm going to pop that up onto the gold backdrop of the butterfly. You don't have to do this. It makes it much harder to mail, obviously, so you don't have to fold up those wings if you don't want to. You can just leave them flat. They do fold down quite easily. And then I'm just going to attach them onto my background using a little foam square. Adds a little bit more dimension. You could use liquid glue. And then I'm going to play around with these, you'll see, when I add my sentiment. For now, I've sort of got 3 on one and 2 on the other. I am going to add a sentiment, and those foam squares will let me sort of play around a little bit. For my first sentiment, I'm using the Floral Thanks Stamp and Die Set. I'm going to stamp the outline of the Thanks sentiment, which I really love this font, in Obsidian pigment ink. It's a nice crisp black outline. And then I'm going to tie in those butterfly colours onto the solid filler word for the sentiment. So I'm using baby pink, and then I'm going to come in with the magenta and just edge it along the bottom, get that sort of almost similar ombre stamped look that I got with my butterflies. And the Misty is great for achieving those sort of effects. You can just stamp over the word several times. And then I'm going to die cut it out with the coordinating die, and then just pop that up onto the center of my card. I'm going to just put it right in the center. I don't have any other sub-sentiment, but I did notice that to get it in the center I had to move a butterfly. So I'm okay with that. I just popped it up, and the foam square lifted up quite easily. You can always do your sentiment first, then add the butterflies. If I'd planned better, that's probably what I would have done. And then I'll just finish it off with a few gold sequins. For my second card, I'm using the Altenew Superscript stamp set. This got released years ago, and I go back to it still because I just love the look of that sort of Sharpie pen. And I'm going to use the Friend sentiment, stamp that out with Obsidian pigment ink, die cut it out with the coordinating die, and then pop it up again on some foam tape, and then maneuver around my butterflies to finish. I'm adding some gold sequins to tie in, and we've got a nice kind of card pair that go together well and coordinate. I love that little pop of gold from behind the butterflies peeking out. It's really pulled out by those sequins. And that finishes my second card. I hope this inspired you. Of course, you can absolutely make backgrounds with string, real string, and I will be featuring that in a future video, but I thought this was a quick and easy way to get a similar look using some of Altenew's fabulous geometric cover dies. That's it from me for this week. I hope you've enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to let us know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button to be alerted when there's a new video. Bye!
Hello crafters, Jen here. For more tips, techniques, tutorials, and to discover which paper crafting products are right for you, subscribe to Altenew's YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Thanks for watching.